So lately, TikTok has been going crazy because people have found out that there's black people in Scotland.
Right, it's been all right this year, but it's been a bit of a washout.
They come in black?
And the interesting thing about this is, black people have been in Scotland since about the 1500s. One of the earliest examples of black presence in Scotland can be seen in the story of two young girls named Margaret and Ellen Moore. They were originally from Africa, and they were brought over to Scotland at the age of 10. Now, it's not known exactly how they came over, but one of the theories is that they were brought over by Portuguese slave traders. When they arrived in Edinburgh, Scotland, they went to go work in the castle of King James IV under the authority of his daughter, Lady Margaret. Back then, it was seen as like a status symbol to have African servants. And they would accompany Lady Margaret to different events like holidays or royal tours, and they even were rewarded at times with lavish fashion and sometimes even gold coins. All this while being young girls who were living far away from their home of origin. There's even a theory that this poem by William Dunbar, which contains derogatory language against black women, may have even been inspired by one of the girls. And they weren't even the only ones. King James had several African servants working under him, like Peter the Moor, a group called the Moor Friars, and a drummer named Moor Tarbonar. Scotland themselves started getting involved in the transatlantic slave trade in the 16th century. And during the time they were involved in the slave trade, they owned 1/3 of the slave plantations in Jamaica. All that would change in 1778 when a former slave named Joseph Knight sued his former master, John Wedderburn. The case went all the way to the Scottish Supreme Court, who ruled to abolish slavery in the nation. In 1833, slave trading was abolished in all the British colonies, including Scotland. After the slave trade was ended, Scottish slave owners received the equivalent of £2.5 billion for, quote, loss of property. While Joseph Knight's case and the work of people like William Wilberforce and several other ministers and other abolitionists were directly involved in helping end slavery in Scotland, one other voice who may have indirectly helped with that was none other than Frederick Douglass, who for 2 years toured the British colonies advocating for abolition. And while he was in Edinburgh, he spoke out against the Free Church of Scotland because they had gotten part of their funds from slave traders. After the abolishing of slavery, black Scottish people continued to make several contributions to the world. One example of this can be seen in the story of Andrew Watson, who broke barriers by becoming the first black man to lead an international football team. Andrew was born in Guyana to a former Scottish slave owner and a native Guyanan woman. He would move to Glasgow at the age of 19 to pursue education at the University of Glasgow and to start his own business. But that wasn't the only thing he did there. He also picked up the sport of football and became the captain of the Scottish football team. In 1882, he led the Scotland football team to defeat the England football team in a match. The score was 5-1. And after that, he won several Scottish football cups, becoming the first black man to do that as well. He moved to London in 1882 and became the first black player to play in the English Cup. And while Watson is said to have faced some insults from players, it doesn't seem like he experienced much racism during his time playing football. And he didn't just break the color barrier. According to the founder of the Scottish Football Museum, he's said to have changed the very way that the sport is played. In 2012, he was inducted into the Scottish Sport Hall of Fame. Then there's Arthur Roberts, one of the few black men to serve in the Scottish Regiment during World War I. His story was virtually unknown until about 2004, when a couple bought a home in Glasgow and found letters, pictures, and diaries all about Arthur's experience in World War I. Arthur was the son of David Roberts and Laura Durham, an African Caribbean man and a West Country woman. He grew up in Glasgow and volunteered to serve at the age of 20 with the King's Own Scottish Borderers and with the 2nd Battalion Royal Scots Fusiliers from 1917 to 1918. He was stationed in France, and his grasp of the French language assisted him greatly while he was out there. One of the most significant battles that he was a part of was the Battle of Passchendaele, which was fought in Belgium. It had members of the Allied forces going up against the German forces. The Allied forces would win this battle, but not without significant casualties, as over 200,000 Allied soldiers died. Arthur's battalion alone suffered more than 200 casualties. During that conflict, he witnessed many horrors, which he wrote about in his diary. In one entry, he talked about seeing someone's head being blown off while he escaped death. He even drew sketches of the war scenes that he saw. Luckily for Arthur, despite the hardships that he had seen, He was well liked by his colleagues and didn't report experiencing any racism. After the war was over, he went back to his hometown of Tradeston and became a marine engineer. He passed away in 1982 at the age of 84. In his last days, Arthur had confided in a care worker that he felt that his story was forgotten about, especially during the Remembrance Sundays, which honored the soldiers that fought for the UK in World War I. His story remained virtually unknown until about 20 years after his death, when the son of Arthur Morag Miller found his diary in the attic of his new home.
He asked me if I would like the cleansing department to come in and empty the house, or whether I would like a wee rummage through myself. And I decided to take the chance and have a wee rummage through myself, and that's how I discovered Arthur's diary.
Those diaries became the basis of her book, As Good as Any Man, Scotland's Black Tommy. Finally having a story remembered. And then there's the story of James McCune Smith, who because of racism couldn't get into medical school in the United States, so he had to go all the way over to Scotland and received his medical degree from the University of Glasgow in 1837. In doing this, he became the first black man to ever receive a medical degree. After he graduated, he took up a residency at Glasgow Lock Hospital, which is a hospital that was dedicated to treating impoverished women who were suffering with venereal diseases. And while he was there, he published an article in the London Medical Gazette, exposing the harmful ways that one of the doctors at Lock Hospital was treating gonorrhea patients. His advocacy didn't just stop at his patients though. He was also a prominent member of the Glasgow Emancipation Society, an organization which is dedicated to promoting anti-slavery. And this cause was probably pretty personal to James, because he was actually born in slavery. He would eventually move back to his home state of New York and open up his own pharmacy, becoming the first black physician to do so. And he would die just 1 month shy of the 13th Amendment being ratified. I could go on and on, but the point is, black people have been in Scotland for a little while, and have even greatly contributed to society, both in Scotland and beyond, with their stories and existence mostly hidden and waiting to be discovered. And since making this discovery, people have also found out that there's black people in Japan, in Russia, in Ireland, even Welsh. All this has led to a hilarious bunch of reaction videos from African Americans who are just so surprised to find that there's actually black people in these places. But unfortunately, just like in other nations, they've also faced a lot of discrimination. A Strathclyde University study showed that between 2010 and 2015, 45% of black Scottish people said that they felt discriminated against. And even today, the black population in Scotland is about 1.2%. But what they lack in numbers, they make up for with rich history and in culture. Some have wondered why African Americans are so surprised that there are black people in Scotland. Part of the reason is that when you don't see, you don't know. Most of the media that's come out about Scotland has never featured black people. In fact, when you usually think of Scotland, you mainly think of 4 things: the bagpipe, the kilts, the Loch Ness Monster, and the accent. But you usually don't think of black people. This isn't just a Scotland thing. There are states in America where people will be surprised to find black people living. So when other African Americans find those black people living there, there's a sense of camaraderie, sense of community, of shared pain and joy that exists in the African diaspora.
Americans live in like an echo chamber. Whether the global media, inadvertently or not, decides to keep you guys from seeing us, like, you're not seeing content made by black Scottish people, you're not seeing content made by white Scottish people. So the surprise when you see people that look like you with an accent like mine, that would blow my mind anyway.
Well,
it's quite isolated. Like, I know a lot of other black content creators, some Scottish, some not, but it's not like we all gather them together. There's no sense of community right now, not yet, but there will be. But we do exist, we're out here.
And for people like me, it might even be a little personal, because I myself am not Scottish, but my last name, Dunlap, is in fact Scottish in origin. And so for me, an African American with a Scottish last name, knowing that there's black people that actually live over there is just, it's very interesting. It makes me want to go visit there to really soak up knowledge about the culture and just see for myself the beauty of that country. It shows that even across the seas, we're not that different from each other. Sure, we might speak in different dialects, have different slang, maybe a different language, but in one way or another, God gave us all similar culture. And finding that similarity is something that should be celebrated.